Hello, the doc is in, and welcome back to another chapter of One Punch Man. It has been a minute since I've made a One Punch Man video, and what a nice chapter to come back on. In the last chapter, actually, honestly, forget the last chapter. I wasn't here for that. Hopefully you already watched it. We're just gonna get into this chapter, because me personally, I can't speak on that because that'd kind of be a spoiler. You know, we're just gonna get into it. All right, chapter starts off. We got some rich folk. I'm gonna be honest. Starting off reading the chapter, I thought I was reading the wrong manga because I'm looking at the faces on the first page at the bottom. I'm like, that is not One Punch Man art style. Why do the faces look so realistic? I was like, I'm not gonna say I was disgusted, but I was like, who are these people? I had to like click out and make sure I was looking at the right manga, like click further in, but I was good. But yeah, so basically we got some rich folk. They're living in the Hero Association building. They're basically like, oh man, this building's so safe and great, and they got the malls, and they got the pools, and they got everything we need here. It's, you know, with all these monsters outside, man, it's crazy how people live outside. Couldn't be us though, right? We got one of these rich kids or whatever. Cool, right? Then, and this guy is like with a girl, I guess it's like his girlfriend or whatever, right? Her cup starts shaking. She's like, is it an earthquake? And he's like, what are you talking about? It has to be above a magnitude 6 earthquake to even feel it in here. It's probably nothing. You're probably just shaking. You probably got like anxiety or something. And she was like, oh, you know, funny. And the whole building goes whoosh, whoosh. Or that's my shaking sound. But anyway, it starts shaking, right? And this lady makes a crazy funny face. She's like, we really are shaking. Like, she looks pissed. She's like, how dare you try to gaslight me like it was me? Look at this place literally going rumble and tumble, right? But everybody who's like on the higher end of the Hero Association building, they're like, oh my god, you know, the building's shaking. It must be a crazy earthquake. We go to the Hero Association people, I guess people managing the building itself. They're like, oh my god, you know, this shaking coming from the monster containment floor all the way at the bottom. We need to send heroes down there right away to handle the situation. My man Saitama is down there. He's just going into business. We got away from that. Go back to the basement area where Tatsumaki, Fubuki, Psychos, and that other guy are, right? And so you have Tatsumaki shining like a star of pure energy, right? And you got the intruder. He's trying to stop. He's trying to like attack Tatsumaki. He's like, shoot, I'm not built like that at all. He says it's a slight disadvantage. We all know it's a major one. Tatsumaki's not even going full power. You have no shot. But one thing this guy isn't is out of options, right? So he's a little crafty. He's like, all right, well, I can't beat you in a head-to-head fight. So he does a little flick of his fingers, and as we cut over, we see Fubuki like basically trying to get Saitama out of the whole crevice hole thing he fell into, right? She then has like a weird flowy thingy on her head, and she falls face first on the ground. And of course, everybody part of the Tatsumaki group, they come over there and like, what happened? Not Tatsumaki, Fubuki group. They're like, what happened, right? And the guy's like, oh, BT dubs, I drugged your sister with a whole bunch of sleeping medicine that I can trigger, and there's a deadly poison inside her. So, you know, have fun with that, tots. And so the way he says he did it was basically he basically slipped the drugs into like her daily medicine. And Tatsumaki's like, so what you're saying is either the manufacturer was corrupted, the distributor was corrupted, or somebody, a part of her friends, her Fubuki group, is up to no good. And so she like does like a arm wipe, like I guess a psychic wipe thing, like to move all her friends back, right, to get them away from her, because obviously she's suspicious of them, right? And so now the guy's like, well, I have your sister hostage, so either you're gonna chill out or I'm just gonna kill your sister. So Tatsumaki chills out a little bit. She's like, fine, I'll listen to your demands. So then from there, the guy basically turns Tatsumaki into like a human bot. Basically, he just turns to like, she basically like makes her into a box kind of shape thing. It's hard to explain, but basically he like makes her smaller. It seems like Tatsumaki doesn't exactly know what he was doing at first, and so the guy kind of like goes, he's like, oh, you know, natural psychics, they're just so unbalanced. They're a disgusting defective species. They should be erased. And like he's basically promoting like, oh, like made psychics are better than natural psychics. I don't know why I had a tough time saying that sentence, right? And so then the guy's like, well, I'm gonna frame the psychic sisters, right? And basically, I'm gonna release these monsters. They're gonna come, kill all you guys, make a couple of other people, and it'll basically be like, oh, it's Tatsumaki's fault, and also they disappeared. And so even if eventually they do figure out that like, oh, this was not a natural occurrence, she's been captured, and so it's Fubuki, it'll be too late. I would have already have gone away and had the chance to do all my thing, right? From there, the guy picks up every Fubuki, Psychos, Tatsumaki, and he's like, well, I've seen you guys, deuces, and Fubuki can't do nothing. And not only that, but we do find out there was a traitor in their midst, some guy, he looked kind of cool though, his design's kind of cool, right? They're all about to leave, the guy puts on his top hat, they're all out, right? And the Fubuki group's like, shoot, we gotta stop these monsters, they're about to come out, and they're gonna literally murder all of us along with everybody else, well, as many people as they can in this building. That's kind of crazy. And then sploosh, or like crash. Basically, imagine like a bunch of flesh exploding. Well, maybe don't imagine that, but basically all the monsters explode out of the hold area where they're being held, right? And we have Saitama just popping out, you know, one punch, as it do. And we have the two people from Ebi Tsukiyomi. They're there and they're like, he one-shot them, and Tatsumaki breaks out, and he's like, what? And then he's like, alright, time to kill Fubuki now. And so Tatsumaki basically allowed him to capture her, so then she could destroy the poison, right? Well, not even destroy it, take it out of Fubuki's body. He turns it into a small pin, rips it out of Fubuki's body, and then shoots it into the psychic guy who was like basically trying to capture her, and poisons him. It shoots him in the eye, mind you, right? So he nearly dies, but doesn't quite die. And so she's like, well, good thing you didn't die. It's cool that you have resistance or whatever, because from here, I'm gonna ring you out tornado style for all the information you have on your little organization or whatever. The worst days were not today. They're the coming days. That's what's gonna happen, right? From there, it seems like she crushes him in the giant rock thing. It's kind of like the Shubaku's Tensei from Naruto. If you know what that is, if you've ever watched Naruto, you know what that is, right? So from there, puts him in that, smashes the guy who poisoned Fubuki, and wins the fight single-handedly, brings everybody down to the ground. Tis devious. Love my tiny tornado queen. Going around from there, right? The Fubuki group are now running over to Fubuki, and they're like asking her a bunch of questions. They're like, you brought us into this like life or death situation and didn't like, tell us any details. Like, we could have died and been very horribly mortally wounded and disfigured. And Tatsumaki's not standing for it. Basically, she's like, y'all gotta go. Fubuki was poisoned, compromised by your asses. Fubuki, get rid of them, right? And she's pretty harsh about it. Like, she's really like laying into these guys. There's no cursing because, it's just a manga. But I'm just saying, if this wasn't just a manga, I can imagine Tatsumaki just proceeded to like really curse all these people out over this situation, right? But we kind of get a little internal dialogue from Tatsumaki, and it seems like part of the reason why she's kind of like telling them to all go away is kind of like to say like she, as Tatsumaki cares really deeply about her sister, and so to a certain degree she has a care by extension about Fubuki's friends, because those aren't people important to Fubuki. But with so many of them, and not all of them, none of them being particularly strong, in a sense, because she considers Fubuki weak, and these people are even weaker than Fubuki, it's like, she can't really, she basically sees it as a burden on herself to have them around. And so she's like, Fubuki, you need to get rid of them, because I can't protect them all, and you can't protect them all, because you're not as strong as me, And so the Fubuki group kind of tries to speak their claim. They're like, hey, we just need to explain to us the situation. We don't know what's going on. We'll set up precautions so that next time we invite somebody over to the Fubuki group, whatever. And she cuts him off and she's like, no, you guys are all trash. If y'all won't listen to my simple request, so be it. I will simply hurt you guys so bad that you won't die, but you'll never be a hero ever again. Fubuki's powerless to stop her sister, and a true hero comes in, grabs Fubuki's hand, not Fubuki, Tatsumaki's hand, and he's basically like, why can't you guys just talk it out, you know? You want to scold your sister about the situation, scold her. You don't need to attack other heroes or whatever. End of chapter. Great chapter. I enjoyed myself quite a bit because, like I said, well, I didn't say that. Tatsumaki fan here. My goat has to come in and start twisting shit. Love that stuff. Great time. Going on from here, as somebody who's aware of like what happened in the webcomic, I believe we're setting up for the next big fight, like right now, which may start next chapter. So exceedingly excited for that. As for the events of this chapter, we don't really get any information about the Tsukiyomi group or anything. Apparently they've been keeping tabs on, it seems, we can kind of, well, definitely keeping tabs on Fubuki and probably Tatsumaki by extension, but we can extrapolate from there that they're probably keeping tabs on all natural psychics, like to a certain degree, whether that be like preparing to capture them or creating situations where they can capture them, whatever the case may be. But at least with these two, they're definitely keeping tabs on them, seeing as they had like a deep cover, well, I assume a deep cover agent who's regularly drugging Fubuki in preparation to eventually use her as something, as a bargaining chip against Tatsumaki, which, knowing that Tatsumaki values her sister's life above most things and would, even as we saw in this chapter, sacrifice herself in favor of saving Fubuki. Now, of course, Tatsumaki had a plan. She's a really powerful psychic, so I mean, most situations aren't really a sacrifice herself kind of situation. It's more like a, I want to bide my time until I prepare to literally tear your head off your body with my psychic abilities. But yeah, she would sacrifice herself for Fubuki. But because she's willing to sacrifice herself for Fubuki, it kind of comes off, sacrifice herself for Fubuki because of her power, or rather turns into this kind of like overbearing caringness where she's like, because I care about your safety and I don't consider you strong like myself or like the other S-Class who I don't care about, who she may view some of them as respectable or whatever. But point being, because she doesn't see Fubuki as strong, it then turns into this overbearingness that Fubuki feels, which creates a little bit of internal conflict for Fubuki, where she cares about her sister and she knows her sister cares about her, but because of her overbearingness, she also feels like it important to build up herself so that then she can basically be considered strong by Fubuki and then like escape her clutches in a sense, which is why we have the Fubuki group, you know, all that extrapolating, you know, all that stuff, right? So it kind of creates this like combat between themselves where like they're both against each other but also supporting each other at the same time, and we kind of see it played out here where Tatsumaki's telling the Fubuki group to entirely go away, but even she says it herself, these are her friends, these are people she cares about and that she likes to hang out with, and like while this isn't the effort to protect her, it also comes off as a little bit insensitive and again overbearing, where it's like for her safety she's making her give up things that she cares about, you know? So that's interesting, and we'll definitely see Saitama kind of weigh in on this. It seems like he's in favor of, I wouldn't say in favor of Fubuki, but kind of like stepping in to kind of say like, hey, Tatsumaki, you're taking it a little bit too far, man. You're taking it a little bit too far. So we'll see how this turns out, but we know how Tatsumaki gets. She has no respect for anybody, so shit's about to get violent. And I think that's about it for this chapter. With it all being said, leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you dislike. Comment what you think about this chapter, what you think will happen in the next chapter. How do you think this altercation is going to go between Tatsumaki and Saitama? Are they going to be able to talk it out? Is Tatsumaki going to escalate it? Is Saitama going to escalate it? I mean, though, as we know, Saitama has some grievances with Tatsumaki in and of itself, so who knows how this is going to go, alright? Is Saitama going to go to blows with Tatsumaki? Is he going to throw fists, like real ones? Up for question. that all being said, feel free to check out other videos on the channel and all that stuff. The doc is out. Peace.
Watch more of my videos here. Goodbye.